Ανεξάρτητα από το πότε ακριβώς έρχεται, η εποχή του υδροχώου βρέθηκε στα χείλη των ανθρώπων ήδη από την ταραγμένη δεκαετία του 60, τη δεκαετία που σήμανε την επανάσταση σε κάθε πεδίο της ανθρώπινης έκφρασης. Τα παιδιά των λουλουδιών άρχισαν να μιλάνε για μια νέα εποχή που έρχεται, μια εποχή που θα βάζει πάνω απ' όλα τον άνθρωπο και τη ζωή του. Το The Age of Aquarius από το musical Hair έγινε παγκόσμια επιτυχία. Από τη δεκαετία του 70 και μετά η μουσική, η πιο γρήγορη από τις τέχνες, έσπευσε να προαναγγείλει την παγκοσμιοποίηση, που αποτελεί σήμερα το μεγάλο θέμα συζήτησης. Δρόμος για μια παγκόσμια μουσική γλώσσα, για μια σύνθεση πολιτισμών που ποτέ δεν είχε ακούσει ο πλανήτης. Οι εθνικές μουσικές, οι άγνωστοι ήχοι της Ανατολής, οι τεχνοτροπίες του τρίτου κόσμου, μπλέχτηκαν σε ένα τεράστιο μουσικό χωνευτήρι που έφερε τον δυτικό άνθρωπο πιο κοντά στη συνειδητοποίηση ότι όλοι είμαστε κάτοικοι του ίδιου πλανήτη. Με την ανάπτυξη των οικολογικών κινημάτων, το φαινόμενο του θερμοκηπίου, η αλόγιστη ρύπανση, η τρύπα του όζοντος, η εξαφάνιση σπάνιων ειδών, η κακή ποιότητα ζωής, άρχισαν να χτυπάνε τα καμπανάκια του κινδύνου και της συνείδησής μας. Αν δεν κάνουμε κάτι για να αντιστρέψουμε την πορεία του πλανήτη που βρίσκεται στο χείλος του γκρεμού, σε μερικές δεκάδες χρόνια ίσως η ζωή δεν θα έχει πια καμία αξία.
Well, full disclosure, this is a shameless plug here. I've got a new book coming out next week called An Inconvenient Book, Real Solutions to the World's Biggest Problems. And today I'm going to give you a preview of Chapter 1 called Global Warming, Storming and Conforming. I wrote this chapter basically as kryptonite for you to use against your gore-worshipping psycho friends. The next time they tell you how global warming causes all sorts of massive natural disasters, you say, really? That's interesting because I heard somewhere, I'm trying to remember, that deaths per year from extreme weather are down 95% since the 1920s. Sure, you'll be unhip and friendless, but at least you'll be accurate. Anyway, as I put the chapter together, the thing that struck me, the thing that was more amazing to me than the facts that I was finding, was the fact that no one wanted to talk about those facts. If a scientist says that temperatures are up 0.01 degree, lead story around the country in every newspaper. But when somebody with decades of experience comes out and says global warming is a manufactured crisis, no one cares, and you can hear a pin drop. How do I know? Because that is exactly what happened last week when the founder of the Weather Channel wrote an article that began, and I quote, "It is the greatest scam in history. I'm amazed, appalled, and highly offended by it. Global warming, it is a scam." But since that opinion doesn't fit nicely into the mouth of the media beast, hello NBC, you probably didn't hear a word about it. Well, now you will. John Coleman is the founder of the Weather Channel. He was also the first weatherman ever on Good Morning America, and he is currently weatherman at KUSI News in San Diego. John, your head about exploded with the NBC thing this week. Is that was the breaking point for you?
Well, I've been listening to all the global warming talk for a long time and posting material about global warming on our website. But finally, the crescendo of global warming myth, nonsense, exploded in my head, and I had to write a real rant, and that's the one that got noticed. I put it on our website. It was picked up by icecap.us, picked up by Drudge. First thing you knew, it was all over the newspapers, all over the radio, all over the TV sets, and I had created a bit of a stir, and all I was doing was telling you the truth as best I know it.
Yeah. Why is it that the scientists are all in on this? I mean, so many people are in on the global warming is real and we've got to stop it right now.
Glenn, you got to make a living, first of all. So you spent 10 years becoming a PhD in meteorology. You got a research job, and you decide you're going to research the effect of human activity on global climate. And if you were to put out a research report that said not much and it doesn't seem too bad, you probably wasted all your 10 years.
John, what was the turning point for you? Because I know that you said that you went in to look for an honest answer. You thought maybe it's real. What was the thing that stood out and you went, this is absolutely bogus?
Well, when I looked at the hockey stick graph that was produced in Manning's original report, and it showed a steady line temperature through the millenniums and then a sudden rise global, I knew that that was incorrect.
Yeah.
I knew it couldn't possibly be, and I started asking experts about it, and I started digging into how that was produced. And I found out it was bogus science. It wasn't real. The numbers had been massaged. The whole thing had been created. What bothered me was that the other scientists had accepted it. Well, why did they possibly do that? And I think the real answer to that question is that they all have an agenda, an environmental and political agenda that said, let's pile on here. We're all going to make a lot of money. We're going to get research grants. We're going to get awards. We're going to become famous. And I guess that's what happened.
John, do you think we're at the point of no return yet? Are we at the point where no scientists will come out? You've said to me on my radio program today that people are afraid in your business to speak out. Can we turn this around, or are we destined for global socialism?
I think that the ship may have left the dock. But in 20 years, we'll have the last laugh. But, of course, billions of dollars will have been spent. Policy will have been changed worldwide. People have been scared. We will have reacted to a myth. But nonetheless, eventually, we'll realize that there is no global warming of significance, and we'll have the last laugh. Now, there are scientists speaking out. There are hundreds of them speaking out. There are thousands who signed a petition, 19,000 on a petition against global warming. There are many scientists speaking out, but the mainstream press is totally ignoring them. Yeah. The mainstream press has totally climbed aboard and is marching along. And, of course, the former vice president got himself an Emmy and an Oscar and I believe a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, come on.
A Grammy as well.
Hi, I'm David Rothschild, the founder of Adventure Ecology. We're a global network getting kids to learn, act, speak and share on the environment. So my last trek was labeled Mission 1, so it's mission possible against these environmental issues that we're facing. It was a crossing, a full surface crossing of the Arctic Ocean, traveling from a tiny little peninsula called Cape Artucheski all the way to Canada into Ellesmere Island. 16 dogs, all Inuit sled dogs. We were seeing temperatures that we should have been seeing in summertime, in wintertime. And obviously the ice acts as our sort of thermoregulator for our planet. It's a bit like the thermostat. So as all this energy comes from the sun, it hits the white and reflects and sends about 90% of that energy back into space. So as we're now increasing the number of greenhouse gases, our nitrous oxides, our methanes, all the, the baddies like CO2 that we hear about, in our atmosphere, it's kind of thickening this blanket around us, which means that not only is what's being shot back up being trapped, but as the ice starts to crack and move apart, it starts to absorb the energy because the dark areas of the ocean effectively end up creating this, absorbing rather than reflecting action. So it's a positive feedback. I guess I didn't realize how much or how fast the Arctic was changing and how much this was affecting polar bears. And we were seeing tracks of polar bears all the way to the North Pole, which is very rare because it means that there must be huge areas of open water scattered throughout the Arctic. Well, the structure of adventure ecology is basically built on 3 pillars. So the first pillar is adventure, and we use that as a way to captivate. We've actually immersed ourselves into these environments that we're trying to communicate about. The second pillar is the art program, which we run. So that's called Articulate, and that's about taking artists out into the field and getting them to respond. These are artists who have a different lens, and to me that's been really exciting. So we showcase work in a gallery where we have young and up-and-coming artists, and then we also take them into the field. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, and obviously the most important for me, and again is really what we build adventure ecology through, or build it on, is the education. We live in a society that is overstimulated, and then we take kids and we put them into the school system that is running on a 19th century system, and we wonder why they're looking out the window. We wonder why they're running truant, and we wonder why these kids aren't learning. We need to engage them using gaming technology and terminology, and we need to give them books that are interactive. Kids don't email, that's old school. It's SMSing, instant messaging, microblogging. So we have to try and deliver information in a way that they feel comfortable. It's just a flyby of the book. It's a flyby. Buy the book. Save the planet. Global Warming Survival Handbook is, if you don't do anything at all, this is a thing you should buy. Not only because it's a great read, but money from sales, or all the money that the royalties that I should be getting, we're donating to the Alliance for Climate Protection. I didn't want it just to be another sort of, let's help the planet in 20 ways. I wanted it to be more about you, your skill set. What we ended up with was this, which is, 77 essential skills to stop climate change or live through it. Even friends and family who have lived with me my whole life, and they still sort of look like, oh, God, he's still going on about that, still talking about this. And eventually, my brother sold his car and he got a hybrid. And eventually my dad's like, okay, I'll take one of these silly little bags to the store, and I'm not sure if it suits me. And I'm like, no, take a bag to the store, it's cool. And he's like, oh. And then after I was like, you're right, now I don't have all these plastic bags that pile up in the bottom drawer which I never knew what to do with. So if we can start to make those right choices, then that will then filter up to the businesses, to the governments, and we'll get a response. I was on a plane the other day, I was on a plane, and I was on yeah, I know, but they let you watch TV the whole time, and everyone's sitting there flicking channels, and up came an ad from Walmart saying, buy our new cotton organic pajamas. And, it was a woman standing there saying, my pajamas are sexy, my pajamas are comfy, my pajamas are great, more importantly, my pajamas are organic. And it's amazing that we're getting this sea change happening, and we're seeing mainstream brands really take this seriously. So do not underestimate the power of the individual to inspire change, because we can all do it, and it doesn't have to be a tedious chore. It can become a fun activity that's actually kind of cool. My eco-sin is that I have to admit that I actually really enjoy sitting down in the shower, which sometimes means that I have a longer shower than I should do. And, you've had a long day and you've been out and you've been working, or you've been, doing some adventure, and you come back and you're battered and bruised. And I'm not really a bath person, I'm a shower person. But I definitely leave it running a bit longer sometimes than I should do. So that's definitely an eco-sin.